Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I did a video earlier this morning, and some people liked it, some people didn't, but I got an interesting question in here asking about MMA fighters, and then the example I was given was Royce Gracie. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about it. You know guys, because I made a video about tons of guys in the gym who have a bad case of what Martin Burkham called fuck-arounditis, and they don't even look like they lift, and then people want to come in and have their own ideas about what it means to look like you lift. That's the unfortunate thing, is that we have this mentality in the training world here that if you don't use a shitload of trend, that you don't look like you lift. And what I mean is, not that the people out there realize that you have to have trend to look like you lift, but the ideas of what they think a person looks like who lifts is probably on a bunch of trend or antiviral growth hormone. That's what that person uses who you think looks like they lift, and the majority of people who are natural are probably not going to look like they lift to you. That's just the reality, if that's the standard you're setting. And it's just a trend I've noticed, and this little thread I had with the guy really highlighted that, because I was talking about guys who don't look like they lift. And when I mean don't look like they lift, meaning to the trained eye, someone like me who's been around both naturals and enhanced guys for a couple decades. You know, I'm 40 years old. I've been around this a while. When I'm saying that guys that I look at, that I wouldn't be able to tell that they worked out at all, that they had even been working out 3 months, because if someone comes in and trains hard for 3 months, I can tell. Someone's been on a good program, they're 12 weeks into it, and they just joined a gym and just started that program, I can usually pick that out and tell. They look like they lift to me. They look like they've been trying. I'm talking about guys who I can't tell have ever set foot in a gym. I'm talking about guys who have 10-inch arms, literally 10-inch arms. Their arms are probably not much bigger than my wrist, who have a gut. All right, that's what I mean by they don't look like they lift. Or they're really skinny and have like 9-inch arms and maybe abs. That's what I'm talking about by don't look like they lift. I don't mean bodybuilding standards, because here's the thing. You look at someone like him, because the guy's trying to tell me, well, MMA fighters, I'm thinking, you know, I've never seen MMA championship match where either guy in the ring didn't look like they lifted. I haven't ever seen one, so I didn't know what he was talking about. I tried to argue with the guy, and he's like, well, if you can't understand that, I can't help you. Yeah, because I don't understand. I have actually never seen an MMA match on television, ever, where I thought either guy looked like he didn't lift. I've never seen one. So I didn't have any examples for what the guy was talking about, and I guess he didn't understand that. And he says, well, what about Royce Gracie? Well, you guys saw the thumbnail I put up. I'm sorry, but that guy obviously lifts. Does he look like Jeff Side? No. Does he look like he's on trend? No. Does he look like he lifts? Yeah. Is he in shape? Yeah. You can look at that guy and tell, look at the guy's delts. Look at the guy's arms. Look at his traps. Now you're going to tell me that that guy looks like he doesn't lift? Of course he lifts. Of course he lifts. Anybody who's ever spent any time in a gym or training people or working around people could look at Royce Gracie and say, yeah, that guy lifts. He looks like an athlete. But in this community, people have these weird ideas that unless you look like a bodybuilder, which requires drugs, you don't look like you lift. That guy doesn't look like he lifts. Well, what delusional ass world do people live in where top level athletes at the world level who do lift weights don't look like they lift? This is delusional ass world that the fitness world has created online, where everyone's full of trend and growth hormone, that they think that you have to look like that to lift. No, you got to, you guys should be asking, do you even trend, bro? That's what you guys need to be asking. Now, that being said, it's fair to say that guys who don't use a lot of drugs, most guys are going to struggle if they get lean. If they get real lean, it is hard to tell when they're wearing a baggy shirt that they lift. Let's be honest. I've met Jeff Side in person. He's not that big. He has that trendy look, but he isn't that big. If he was wearing a baggy shirt when he's leaner, his dimensions are going to be smaller. You might say in a shirt he didn't look like he lifts. Same thing, you could look at Royce Gracie. In a shirt, a t-shirt on, and yeah, you'd probably say that gives a guy even lift. But you would say the same thing about a lot of these natural pro bodybuilders. I mean, not necessarily saying they're natural, but they're small enough But like Alberto Nunez, you seen him when he's lean? The guy doesn't look like he lifts in a shirt. Maybe his traps, that's about it. You've got to actually either be steroid big or just very genetically gifted in size and certain muscle insertions, or you got to be a little fatter, like powerlifter type big, to look like you lift sometimes wearing a baggy t-shirt. That's reality, specifically to people who don't have a trained eye. They might not catch that otherwise, and that's normal. But when that guy has his shirt off, all these athletes have their shirt off, you don't tell me they don't look like they lift. Of course they lift. You can look at them. Look at their delts. But we have these ideas that unless a guy is ripped, he doesn't look like he lifts. Unless he's ripped and full with big round muscle bellies, they're like, do you even lift, bro? And it's this crazy ideas, these unrealistic standards that people have been given. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys. The overwhelming majority of you take someone who looks like Jeff Seid. Not necessarily that big, but round, full, gets lean. Look how the guy looks. I can promise you 99+% of you will not look like him no matter how long you lift weights. Most of you won't look like that even on steroids. A good chunk of you, 50% of you, won't be able to obtain his look on drugs. Let's just be realistic here. He has certain genetic gifts and he uses certain drugs to get that look. What does that have to do with lifting weights? Yeah, he lifts weights. Of course he lifts weights. Of course he works out. But that look is a combination of genetics and drugs. It's a combination of genetics and drugs. But we have these ideas because of the fake natties out there, because of the YouTube fitness scene, because of the magazines, everything else, that if you don't look like the guy on the cover of a magazine, or you don't look like your favorite YouTuber when they're cut, that you don't look like you lift. Because look at some of these guys when they do get fatter. Look at Chris Jones when he does his Fat Jones thing. Tons of people are like, you fat, you don't look like you lift. Then he gets ripped and you guys think he's massive all of a sudden. When he's 180 something pounds, everyone thinks he's massive and looks huge and clearly trains an amazing physique. You see people say that, but it's like, but you know, when he bulks up, you guys don't see that. You don't realize he has that same amount of muscle when he's 210, 215. It's pretty obvious that he does. Anybody should be able to see that. But they don't. They don't. They get these crazy ideas that the only way someone looks like they lift is if they're both ripped and full at the same time. Because that's the thing you got to remember. There's a lot of guys who are fairly lean, who people don't realize are fairly lean and athletic. Because their abs aren't ripped, because they haven't worried about their subcutaneous water. Maybe they don't use any drugs. So they're not quite at that level of leanness that a natural person needs to look ripped. But someone at their same body fat on the right dose of Tren and Anavar might actually look totally different. They're going to look a lot more ripped, even at the same body fat percentage. A lot of people aren't aware that some of these drugs draw subcutaneous water from underneath your abs and stuff. Even when you're at a higher body fat. Just throwing that out there. There's a different look. There's that fullness. A lot of these guys aren't full. They're not round. Maybe their body fat percentage is a couple percentages too high. But they're athletes. And we've come to a crazy point in this world. You know, you would take someone like Royce Gracie before this internet scene. Before this internet scene. You saw that guy 20 years ago. Jogging down the street in a pair of shorts, people would think he was in shape. Alright, people would think he's in shape. They would think he looks athletic. But that's not the way this works anymore. People have been so caught up in this internet fantasy. This fantasy. And that's what it is. It is a fantasy. This fake look that is drugs and genetics. Maybe the lifting helps to some extent, but a lot of these guys don't really know that much about training. A lot of their training methods are horrifically bad. A lot of their training methods, they really aren't even hitting the muscles they think they're working, but they still get developed. And everyone thinks that that is what it looks like to look like you lift. That's what it looks like to be athletic. Some of these guys aren't athletic at all. I mean, here's the thing. You take someone who looks like that other guy, are you sure they're going to outperform him? You take some of your favorite YouTubers. and you go put them through some stuff to see how fit they really are, that test strength, speed, conditioning, agility, endurance, I don't know, that guy might smoke them. Who's more fit? Because they have a certain look that's been created, an illusionary look. Oftentimes that look's not even maintainable. A lot of times they have good lighting in there when they're doing their videos. They're oiled up, pumped up. Maybe they adjust their diet before they film with their shirt off. Maybe they adjust their diet to shift fluid balance a little bit a few days ahead of time, knowing they're going to have to take a week to get that look again. They do that and it creates this illusion for everyone. If that's what they think that it looks like to lift, and then that's the problem. It creates a self-esteem problem for people. Because when I said people who don't look like they lift, I literally meant that. I literally meant that. I didn't mean the bodybuilder, do you even lift, bro? Like, are you not on trend? But people's self-esteem gets hit in the sense of they think that if they don't look like Jeff Side after 3 years in the gym, or they don't look like Chris Jones when they're both cut, that they've failed, that they aren't in shape, they haven't achieved anything. When they're twice as strong as when they started, sometimes 3 times as strong as when they started, they've gained a lot of muscle, maybe they're leaner, they're stronger, they're more conditioned, they have more endurance, they're healthier and fitter in every way imaginable, and then they're left feeling like they haven't achieved anything because they don't think they look like they lift, they don't think they look like they're fit, because they've been sold a bullshit illusion. When in reality, many of these people have been successful. But it's crazy to see how far we've come to when people who actually focus on fitness and who actually care about the training world don't even know what it looks like to be in shape anymore, to look like they lift. They only know what trend bodies look like. This society, this fitness society, this fitness group, whatever we want to call it, fitness community, has failed these people. When that's all they can see, we have to do better than that. We have to do better than that. Those of us who are putting out information, putting out info out there, we have to do a better job than that. Because we are failing our audience when they can't see those basic things. They don't even know what fitness is. I think we can do better than that. We have to do better than that. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.